My name is Eli Turner, and I'm 19 years old. I grew up in Dallas, Texas, in a well-off household. My father, Marcus Turner, is a respected surgeon at a university hospital, and my mother, Clarissa, was a stay-at-home parent. I'm currently studying medicine in New York City, inspired by my dad, trying to follow in his footsteps. After finishing high school, I moved to New York 4 months ago and started medical school. While my tuition is covered by my parents, I was responsible for all my living expenses: rent, food, books, transportation. That meant juggling multiple part-time jobs like tutoring, bartending, and event staffing. I barely slept, rarely ate well, and struggled in my classes. Meanwhile, my 21-year-old sister, Chloe, was living her dream life in Paris studying fashion design at a prestigious institute. She was always the golden child, the creative spirit our mother adored. Growing up, I was held to high standards. Straight A's were expected. Chloe, on the other hand, got B's and C's, and Mom would throw her mini celebrations for being artistic and unique. I didn't question it much back then. Favoritism was something I just absorbed. Things got worse when I asked my mom for help after falling behind in school. She told me money was tight, that my tuition alone was a burden. I understood, or tried to. But I couldn't ignore Chloe's Instagram posts: brunch in Monaco, rooftop parties in Milan, Dior dresses with captions like, "Mom always knows just what I need." It hurt. A lot. Then I collapsed at work. I was bartending on a packed Friday night when I suddenly felt dizzy, the room spinning. I dropped the tray, tried to grab the bar, but everything went black. I woke up in the hospital. Dehydrated, malnourished, and completely burned out. My boss had called my parents. Clarissa didn't even check in. But my friend Noah came over with groceries, made me food, and sat with me while I tried to make sense of what my life had become. I told him I wasn't getting any support from home. He blinked. "Wait, your dad's a surgeon, right? You should be getting help." That night, I remembered an old argument. My dad had questioned why my summer science camp was cancelled, while Chloe got sent to an expensive art program in Europe. Clarissa had said, "Eli is practical, he won't mind. Chloe needs this more." That was the moment I started putting the pieces together. I called Chloe. She was thrilled, chatting about how Mom just sent her a Chanel bag for her birthday. When I asked how she managed expenses, she said, "I don't really think about that stuff. Mom wires me $3,000 a month. More if I need something special." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. For months, I'd been starving, working non-stop, declining social invitations, all while Mom funneled thousands to Chloe. I booked a flight home for the holidays. I had one day off, just enough time for a confrontation. When I arrived, Dad immediately commented on how thin I'd become. Clarissa looked uncomfortable. During lunch, he asked if the money he'd been sending was helping. "What money?" I asked. His face turned white. He'd instructed Clarissa to transfer $2,000 monthly to me since I started college. I hadn't seen a cent. When he turned to her and asked for an explanation, she stayed silent. Finally, she admitted it: "I've been sending it to Chloe." "What?" Dad asked, stunned. "She needs it more than Eli. She's studying fashion in Paris. She needs to look the part." "You told me we were broke," I whispered. "You said there was nothing you could spare, while Chloe got Chanel bags and shopping money." Clarissa's jaw clenched. "She's delicate. She needs help. Eli will be fine. He's like you, he'll manage." Dad's voice was trembling with rage. He collapsed from exhaustion. He could have died. When I added, "Chloe told me everything," Mom gasped, realizing I'd called her. The tension was thick. Dad's hands were trembling. Clarissa insisted Chloe had potential, and needed to maintain an image, make connections, stay polished for the fashion world. Meanwhile, I was living off ramen and passing out from malnutrition. Dad snapped. From that day, he took over all finances. I would receive $1,000 per month directly. Chloe's allowance was reduced to match mine. But it wasn't over yet. Later that night, Dad knocked on my door. "There's something else," he said, his face weary. He told me about a family trust fund that was supposed to be split between Chloe and me when we turned 25. Clarissa had been secretly funneling $300,000 from it into a separate account for Chloe. He froze the account and began legal proceedings to return the money. "I failed you, Eli," he said, voice breaking. "I should have known. I should have asked more questions." The next day, Chloe called me, angry. "What did you say to Dad?" I told her the truth. She was shocked. Genuinely. "I didn't know you collapsed. Would it have mattered if you did?" I asked. A long pause. "I can't live on $1,000 a month," she whined. "Welcome to the real world," I replied. "Get a job." I did. She hung up on me. At breakfast, Dad announced major changes. He was moving out. He and Clarissa were starting counseling, but the future of their marriage was uncertain. Clarissa defended herself. "I was just trying to give Chloe the best chance." "You stole from our son," Dad replied. "You nearly ruined his health and future." I flew back to New York the next day. Dad transferred $5,000 into my account, back pay, and promised consistent support going forward. I bought real groceries, cooked real meals, and for the first time in months, I could focus on my studies. My grades improved. I joined the pre-med club. I had time to sleep, to breathe. Meanwhile, Chloe began to change too. She found a part-time job at a boutique in Paris. She started designing with budget in mind. She learned to live without endless funds, and slowly, we started talking more. Honest conversations. Sister to brother. Even Clarissa began therapy, after her divorce finalized. Turns out, she had been the overlooked sibling in her own family. Her favoritism was a pattern she hadn't realized she was repeating. Dad met someone new, Catherine, a pediatric nurse. At 52, he found love again, and I was genuinely happy for him. 3 years later, I'm in my 4th year of med school. Top of my class. Preparing for residency. Dad flies in for every milestone. Chloe's first fashion collection debuted last month. Dad sat front row, beaming. She's proud of her own growth, creating elegant, affordable pieces that reflect who she's become. Clarissa is still adjusting. Downsized, working retail. She called me once, crying, "I'm proud of you, Eli." I was wrong. Our relationship is complicated, but it's real. And healing. This Christmas, we're all gathering for the first time: Dad, Catherine, Chloe from Paris, Clarissa. Yes, she's invited. It won't be perfect. It never is. But it'll be honest. Looking back, I realize the collapse was the beginning of everything changing. It forced secrets into the light. It shattered our illusion of balance and exposed deep, buried wounds. But in that rubble, we rebuilt, a family rooted in truth, not favoritism. I'm no longer just the other child. I'm Eli, a future doctor, a son, a brother, someone who deserves love and support, just as I am.